All right, I think I can now be bothered to make a video about this whole Warner Brothers game, Wonder Woman, that was actually revealed 3 years ago, and we haven't seen nor heard much since. There were talks about some screenshots last year. Everybody was kind of still excited. I hope they're cooking and all this talk, not knowing that these folk are not anywhere near where you would expect by this time in any game's development process. So first of all, if we just go ahead and look through the headlines when you Google Wonder Woman game, you're going to see True Achievements headlines say Wonder Woman reportedly rebooted after already costing over $100 million. Then Gosu Gamer says Rocksteady reportedly making a new Batman game, Wonder Woman game in trouble, blah, 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 blah. Click that. Monolith's Wonder Woman game is reportedly in trouble, and then Wonder Woman game has reportedly been rebooted and is years away. None of these stories inspire confidence. Not at all. Even the story that says that there is another Batman game in development. Like, guys and girls, when is that Batman game going to be ready? In fact, I don't know if many of you know, based on the conversations and the rumor that something was being worked on by Warner Brothers Games Montreal, I left my main channel and I started this channel, the Video Game Fight School channel. That game happened to be Gotham Knights. I like Gotham Knights. Not liked. I still do like the game. I play the game, but I was fortunate to be one of those who actually do enjoy the game. There are people who cannot see anything different from the game as not being an Arkham game, and so this is how the game was basically, in a sense, looked at and judged by the entire gaming community at the end of the day. It was kind of weird, guys, to go ahead and see something like that. But when you think about these articles and you think about what's going on, I think we're seeing a very strange thing. Now, I don't know, man. How do you say a lot of what you're going to say without, in a sense, diminishing the capabilities of the people who are probably making this particular game or this particular product? Because from my recollection, Warner Brothers Games Montreal is a phenomenal studio, but they're not the ones making this game. Monolith is the one making this game, and they have always been a phenomenal studio, having punched out a good number of games, by the way. And the Middle-earth games, oh my goodness, it's insane how many games these guys have been able to go ahead and punch out in the past years. However, the caliber of developer and the caliber of personnel in this particular studio doesn't necessarily seem to be there anymore, as one of their big names has already been, poached by EA. And a lot of the games that they made in the past, even though, yes, you could give them some critical acclaim, it just doesn't seem like they have that level of oomph that it takes to punch out these games. I gotta say, the folk who are actually punching these games out today, I don't understand what it is. But Happy said something about Star Wars Outlaws. At first, I thought it was pretty harsh. And then I said, you know what? This guy has made games. And yes, he made games in a different environment, in a different time. But he said that Star Wars Outlaws just screamed paycheck. I strongly believe that there are people who are not to be bothered with whether or not they ship a game and they're just there to just do the job. There's not the passion that's needed to have punched out these kinds of games of the past. And, these old games that you find the Steam players playing, whether it's, the Steam survey, only 15% of players or only whatever the heck it is, where it just found out more Steam players are playing old games. I think there was something special in releasing these games at the time that they were released with less powerful technology, less powerful computing, less powerful budgets. I mean, everything was underpowered compared to today. It was still expensive. It was still, demanding in terms of technology and in terms of, resources. But you cannot tell me that a game like Arkham Knight, and the cycle of the Arkham game developments where the development teams built upon what they already had, is still an easy feat today. It's not. It took something special, from those developers. And I don't know. I just don't know how Monolith can, be expected to fill in those shoes. Again, like I said, how do you say this without making it sound like the folk who are there aren't doing their job? Now, here's another thing. Management. They just recently moved on with the guy that was spearheading the ship for Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment, David Haddad, who at one point in an article was quoted and cited as talking about wanting to move their games to live service games. So in these stories is where that conversation may be hiding, right? That's live service push. Having seen Suicide Squad kill the Justice League basically explode in their faces, Jason Schreier comes out to report or put some things out there. I think it was him. This article starts out, Warner Brothers Wonder Woman game is years away from release, according to a new report. Wonder Woman is still being developed, which is being developed by Monolith Productions, will use the Nemesis system. Who cares about the Nemesis system or whether they're using the freaking health system or I don't know, man, the Windows system? That's not what gamers want to play. Gamers just want to play a good game. I strongly believe that the time savers that you guys saw in Middle of Shadow of War, many people don't realize that, but the last game these guys made had the worst reception, even though it may have sold successfully. It was so bad that they put these time savers in there for a grindy game so that you would go buy, advancements in the store for a single player Ubisoft-like, Assassin's Creed-like game thing, and they ended up removing that from the store. So the game is so bulky and so, convoluted with content. I've been playing the game for like 5 years and I still can't beat the darn thing. All right? Almost 10 years. I'm still 40% into Middle of Shadow of War. Right? From their acclaimed pair of the Lord of the Rings titles during the last generation, the game was announced at the Game Awards in 2021. Since then, nothing has been shown. Now, according to Bloomberg, the project was rebooted last year and switched directors. Wow. Okay. One of the company's biggest bets in development, a video game based on Wonder Woman, has struggled to coalesce, according to people familiar with the project. Early last year was rebooted and switched directors. This is crazy because, ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you that, and this is one thing people may or may not know. I was following, this thing so closely, right? Remember, man, there was an entire shift within Warner Brothers, right? And I remember that Jason Kilar, who was the person running that whole package at the time, he eventually left. But I remember him saying he visited with the team at Seattle and development was going very well. I remember he said that at the time. He's like, great things are coming. Wonder Woman game, is this. And I was thinking to myself, okay, perhaps the game is doing well, but only for us to go ahead and find out that, no, the game's development didn't seem to be maybe cutting it, or maybe somebody else decided after Jason Kilar left, decided that they were going to make some shifts. I mean, check it out. This is it right here. I remember the tweet very well. The tweet was all the way back in 2022. Guys, receipts are here. This is him. He says, update/review today with the team building the Wonder Woman game here in Seattle. I think fans are going to love this game. So many good decisions being made. January 19, 2022. 3 years later, we're hearing this from Jason Schreier. So it's either Jason Schreier might be spreading a fugazi, or this guy had no clue what the heck was going on, and he walked into a studio and they put out all the fires and painted the walls temporarily and made him believe things were going right. But he also got ousted once there was a merger with Discovery of some sort, I think. And so the only person that maintained their job was David Haddad, and who pretty much was trying to push for all these live service games. But Warner Media Interactive Entertainment does not have the kind of vision to have pulled off a live service game, because look at Marvel Rivals doing a good job here. I mean, they couldn't pull it off, so it's obvious that they didn't have the vision, or they could have licensed their products out there so that somebody else would have taken more risk and not be so huddle with their IPs that they've been considering to license out all this while. No one's going to want to get your license in this industry anyways. It's too expensive. Maybe some people might, but again. Anyways, set of people who asked not to be identified discussing non-public information, and is still years away from release, if it ever makes it to market. Elsewhere in this report, claim that Harry Potter Quidditch Champions and Multiverses flopped. This Quidditch Champions right here, this should have been a game attached to Hogwarts Legacy, and it would have been an instant billion-dollar fantasy right there. Everybody was asking your developers back then, is there going to be Quidditch in the game? Now, I understand. That team did not sign up for Quidditch. They signed up for a Hogwarts game that will fulfill the wizardry fantasy. However, the studios that were developing this Quidditch probably should have tied it to that game, using the game's world and using an extension for the game. And you said, David Haddad, that you wanted to basically follow Ubisoft's own paradigm. They did it successfully with The Division and The Division 2. It was an easy blueprint for you to follow. Some of these executives need to pick up a controller and actually game. This is why Phil Spencer, and believe you me, Phil Spencer knows the business and the gamer side of gaming. As much as there may be so much vocal vitriol about him, he bodies execs just by literally doing gaming things the right gaming way. Somebody made a comment on my video just recently. I was laughing because this is the first time I've probably seen somebody say that they have respect for Phil Spencer for the decisions that he made. I was shocked. I said, what? Am I seeing things clearly? Somebody said, when I saw how much the pedigree of AAA games cost, I understood why Phil Spencer never pursued them. Then you put the sales considering the install base of PlayStation and how minimal the percentage of players' interest in those games are, and you realize that Xbox would never be able to afford making those kinds of games to attract players on its own ecosystem. Warner did not have the pedigree to attract people to a live service game, but the execs did not know this, and they greenlit Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and there they are stepping over themselves to launch a single-player game from a studio that's made almost a dozen different games in different genres. That has got to be the highest form of weird I've ever seen. Last week, Warner Brothers announced that the development of Multiverse is coming to an end. It's also claimed by Rocksteady that Rocksteady Studios is working on a single-player Batman game that's going to be ready when everybody who's a Batman fan is basically an old man or woman. Warner Brothers' gaming division has faced several issues in recent years, with high-profile failures despite banking on Warner Brothers' biggest franchises. According to interviews with 24 current and former Warner Bros. Employees, a lack of strong, cohesive vision during Haddad's reign, a tumultuous period in which Warner Brothers struggled through multiple reorganizations, led to years of ineffectual trend chasing and wasted development time, reads the report. I thought y'all were beating on Stephen Hill and Jamie Walker when they left back then. Not now you want to call it Haddad's fault. Again, guys, I told you this thing seems like a multi-nexus paradigm that's coming from developers and execs and decision makers. It's just like everybody's in the mix. Or maybe it's just the execs that are just terrible. And so I will almost guarantee it's coming from the top down. These folk don't play games, which is crazy. They're not gaming. They're not gamers. Right? Shuei Yoshida was a core. You could tell Shuei gamed. That's why Shuei could say in an interview, if I was still there, I would not have let PlayStation pursue a live service push. And you can already tell, guys. I mean, this is not something that I'm looking at this and I'm juxtaposing with other industry folk who are in maybe not similar positions, but at least executive positions that could make serious decisions. Along the way, once revered studios under Warner Brothers umbrella have taken reputational hits, lost key staff members, and burned through hundreds of millions of dollars. What a mess. What an entire mess all this is basically depicting. That's weird, man. This other article said this, and this is crazy. This other article says, as noted, Warner Bros. Discovery Video Games division has had a fairly lackluster few years. While Hogwarts Legacy was a major success for the studio, with the game reportedly selling 30 million copies as of November 2024. This success was followed by a number of major failures. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League forced a $200 million write-down in May 2024. Quidditch Champions and Multiverses contributed to an additional $100 million write-down later in the year. This has left Warner Bros. Discovery in a position needing surefire hits to turn the ship around. Wonder Woman is reportedly one of the big bets, with this need inspiring pressure on development. You guys better knock it out the park. But here's the thing. This is one of those companies that is basically propped up by investor, money and stuff. They're, I don't know what their funding looks like, but from what we heard during that time when they were looking for mergers and, possible buyouts, and Xbox was entertaining the possibility of buying Warner Bros. Interactive Entertainment and all that stuff, it just did not seem like they've been in a strong financial position for a number of years. So we get to just wait and see. It could be that all this is a fugazi and they just wanted to put Wonder Woman in the news, and then all of a sudden they're gonna bring out a trailer and bam! Oh no, Wonder Woman game was always there. It was not true. Who knows? But having not heard anything from the development team for a good amount of time, that might be an indicator that this is probably leaning somewhat true. This is why I don't like making videos on this stuff anymore with the Warner Brothers games and stuff. There's just nothing positive I can say. I can't even be nice. I mean, I try to not, be mad and stuff, but it's so aggravating. You know what I mean? It's not. Let me not say it's aggravating. It's no longer aggravating anymore. It used to be at one point, but having seen the way they structure things and just realize that, man, a lot of the way they make their decisions is not based on, authenticity from, the people making decisions. It's just people who had the opportunity to be there in this particular category. That's just what it is. Like, if you were looking for people who would run a gaming division, most of them are either taking or nobody wants to basically, in a sense, hire them because they're going to cost a lot of money. Or in many cases, they don't want to work with these executives. They want to be somewhat independent or at least maintain some level, of independent proxy at the end of the day. Talking about you, Kojima. Right? Because these execs, they be doing the most sometimes, man. But it is what it is. Thanks for watching the video. Talk to me in the comment section. I appreciate you guys' time and audience. Hopefully, we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.